Hello everyone, my name is Ryan and welcome back to the NYIG Pro Game Reviews. The game I will cover today is from the 2020 Chunlan Cup Prelim Finals, where the winner will represent the US in the round of 32 of the Chunlan Cup. The Chunlan Cup has been postponed to be played online at the end of July, for you-know-what reasons. This game was between myself and Andy Liu, professional one-dan. So you guys will probably notice that I just played Andy in the semifinals of the In Cup prelims. So this is the finals now for the Chunlan Cup, where I meet my good old friend. So without further ado, let's get right into this game. In this game, I was playing black. So in this, if you've seen the previous review that I did between against Andy, you'll notice that I played actually the same opening. This is kind of like a mental thing that I'm trying to play. Since this opening worked, I didn't think there was a good reason for me to change my opening for this game. So in this game, White did a high approach. In the previous game, White actually did a double star point. In this game, White did a high approach instead of a low approach, which is actually somewhat uncommon nowadays with these recent AI openings. Most high-level players like to play the low approach now. And the reason is because after White high approaches, when Black attaches and pulls back, the Joseki, in this Joseki, Black gains a lot of territory in Sente. And in a lot of openings where one side is able to do that, that side is usually, it's easier for that side to play typically. One additional thing about this particular Joseki is that if White does the tiger's mouth, Black, it is considered that it's not directly Sente now on the right side. So Black does not have to play like Joseki, the one space jump. Instead, Black can actually play this move. This is, maybe you can say this is relatively new. It's not entirely new. So this is more of like a probe and asking how White wants to prevent Black from connecting back. So if White doesn't answer here, Black can Hane to connect this back for a big territory, and also White becomes floating without a base. So this is not a very good result for White. So instead, White needs to prevent the connection. So how does White prevent it? In order for the move to be Sente on the corner, White actually has to descend. However, if White descends, Black can, this exchange is good for Black for the upper side. So now Black can do some extension on the right, and then when White comes over to pincer, Black can get a very nice counter pincer, so that would be a free extension. Even though this exchange hurts the corner, the aji that it leaves and the benefit on the side makes it worth it. However, if White does the Kosumi here, then Black will extend this way. So now if White attaches, Black can play the Atari move and extend out. And this fight will favor Black. So this is why in a lot of recent games you see White actually connecting. So then this is Sente on the right side now, because if Black chooses to defend on the upper side, White will now attach, and Black has to Hane, and then this move is very important, so don't forget about that. Black connects, then White will extend out. Black extends one more time so that White turning is not Sente, and then White extends. So this influence is actually quite good for White. So this is also relatively big when the bottom right side is relatively empty. So this would be good for White. Which means Black needs to do one space extension here, and then usually White will extend. So before extending, Andy decided to attach. This is a very common way to settle on the upper side when Black makes this small shimari here on the upper left. So here, the typical move for Black is to Hane and descend, which I did, and then White will extend back. Before extending back, Andy decided to do another probe first. Now, I kind of regret this, but of course, no one will know what happens later. But later on, as you might have guessed, there was a huge fight. And in the fight, because I played the tiger's mouth in this game, after white cuts and extends, these two stones are more of sacrificing moves to increase the aji, or the forcing moves white will have later on in the corner. And because white did these moves, white now has a lot of co-threats in the upper right. So this is a bit of foreshadowing of what is about to come. So after these exchanges, white extended back directly. What's interesting about this move is that typically white would descend first to ask whether black wants the territory by playing a tiger's mouth here, or does black want to fix all the aji. So towering here protects all the aji on the upper right corner, and this is a more popular move of the two. However, white didn't play it, and this actually appeared a little weird to me. But I think I should have just made the hane and then tanuki. But later on, I did not do that, and I think I regret it because later on, white still was able to come back and play this move. So I think that's what I should have done. Because after black hanes and tanukis, the reason why this is a good exchange for black is that later on, of course, black can connect this back. But white does not have the descend move anymore. Even though white can capture the stone, but that would be gote for white, which means black can now spend another move somewhere else. So this is usually a good exchange, and I think I should have played that in this game. So instead of that, I decided to continue in the opening, so I approached this bottom left corner. White does the two-space low pincer, and now this pincer is very, very complicated. When black plays a knight's move and white pushes and cuts, the result here will usually end up in a quarter board fight. However, because it's Andy, and since I know him quite well, and actually for all of our games pretty much, I've never actually succeeded in avoiding fights, so I actually decided to play this ninth move, and of course, he pushes and cut right away. Because actually with this joseki, if white extends, for one, this direction is not so good for white because here it's black stones, but when black attaches, it's difficult for white to follow up locally. So, white pushes and cuts, and black extends. Now, in this game, I did not choose to block because actually I didn't have the ladder, and I felt that this variation would not be so good since I don't have the ladder here. So white might be able to push and cut this way later on. So I didn't really want to play this because I didn't know that as well, I guess. So I decided to extend. Now, there's a famous trick move with this variation that actually happened in the previous Go Congress, and I know because I was commentating on that game, is that when black plays the knight's move here, after white plays one knight's move, white can actually play this double kosumi, and this connects these stones back. Now when black captures this, white can do a one-space pincer. So the trick here is that black should not try to capture the corner because this result would end up being a loss, despite black being able to capture the corner. So I'm not going to go into details here because it's actually will take a while. However, you can just remember that when white pincers as black, you can just attach out and just escape rather than trying to capture the corner. In this game, Andy did not play the extension move. Instead, he played extend on above. Now, this variation I'm actually somewhat familiar with. If white hanes this way, when black turns, white can play this move to capture the corner. However, there is a ko here, black and hane, and it's difficult for white to make a clean capture. For example, if white attaches, for one, black can actually just atari this way, or for example, if white pulls back, black will jump. And now, whenever white attaches, black can always make a ko. It's difficult for white to play another way to capture because white hanes and connects. Black actually still has relatively a lot of liberties, so typically it will also result in a ko. So this variation is actually not good for white because after black turns, black can actually atari and then turn. These are all sente moves, and this will help black build on the upper side, while in the corner, it's not completely dead either. In this game, Andy did not choose this variation, and he decided to block, actually, which I've never seen this move before, which is why it actually took me some time. The time settings for these game, I forgot to mention, is 1 hour each with 60-second Byoyomi 3 times. Now, here I still had some time left, and I think this is where the fight actually becomes a lot more interesting, where a lot more is at stake. In the game, I realized that I could escape here, and deciding between should I escape or should I just turn, because turning is actually a huge move. By turning, it really activates all the potential here. But with this move, it does give white a very big corner plus side, so it didn't feel like the right move. So in the end, I decided to jump out. So white pushes, and then after this exchange, black is able to hane and connect, because white cannot reduce the liberty anymore, which means white needs to make this group alive first. So after that, black makes the jump. This is a very comfortable sente move, and then black jumps out. This all seems to be relatively smooth, because black escaped, and these 3 stones are also relatively weak. At least it's a we both run situation, but black actually has this side. Rather, while white only has a very small corner here. It seems to be very smooth for black. So white extends, black plays the tiger's mouth, which is actually very good for this shape, because it really limits white from going up and up. And if black is able to spend one more move here, black might be able to just capture these 2 stones. So smooth sailing so far. After a hane, white cannot double hane directly, because black has too many liberties. Black can just atari and hane. Black cannot hane. Black would actually need to extend. However, in this case, white would also get captured, and this would not work. Which means white would need to spend another move in the center. And then, in the game, I decided to extend because I felt this side was more important. If black extended on the other side, this double hane is relatively difficult to deal with, because if I descend and white connects, black gets pressed onto the second line, and then white can come back to the right side. So I decided to leave this side because I thought that white cannot completely enclose, and white couldn't. So after turning, white hane, and then black pushes. So these are all pretty much forced, and since white cannot block, if white blocks, black can play this move. And now the outside, because there's too many cutting points, white cannot completely enclose black, and something on the outside will get captured. So white decided to make a loose net. And this kind of got me, because I think in the game I was so focused on making white's shape bad that I didn't realize that there were some sente moves I should have made beforehand. In the game, I attached, and in this case, it is important for white to not be greedy and just capture, because now white captures, black can very smoothly escape out and make good shape as well. So this is a good move. By haneing, if black extends here, white would be able to either connect or maybe even extend. So in this case, white's shape would be better. This is probably what I should have played, is just to escape and see what white will do first. In the game, I played a much different variation, which is actually relatively similar. So after I extended, I cut, and then I haned out. This puts more pressure on white, but also my shape is not as good. Now, when white ataris, this is sente, because if white captures, this is going to be a ko, and now white can, for example, use a cutting point here for a ko threat. So now, white ataris, black needs to connect, and then white extends this out. This move was a little surprising because I thought white would actually give up the stone instead, which would be very comfortable for black, because black would have an eye and white's shape would be weak because there's a peeping point here, and white would need to keep pushing and keep helping black. So if white defends here, black can either keep pressuring this or invade here and later on. So black has a lot of territory, which means it's going to be a relatively comfortable game if black is also very thick in the middle. So that was my plan, but white extends. And now the situation is a bit different. After extending, white ataried and just captured. This is a very it's a very practical move because you can see the benefit by capturing this. White becomes completely strong, and later on when white comes down to the left side, black's group will be reduced by a great amount. So it has a good follow-up because this group is so thick right now. But black also has a big gain. Black captured the 2 stones, and then black also has a very nice, comfortable Atari move. Now what happens after is what becomes even more interesting. Right now, white can't really just simply extend out because saving these 3 stones is too small. Without putting any pressure on black, this capture would be sente, so black can just invade the last corner. And because if you think about everything that happened in this quarter of the board on the bottom left side, it was white's corner to begin with, but the territory is about the same. And if you think about the potential, white doesn't really have anything more than black, apart from maybe something in the center. But originally, white already had this moyo. So the result is not very good for white. Probably thinking about the above logic as well, and he decided to connect. So this is to put more pressure on black. If black connects, when white extends out here, the eye space is actually limited. So even if there's a gote eye on the bottom, because this descent is sente on the corner, there's a gote eye here, but the pressure is much different. Not to mention, later on if white is able to push here, the shape is also very uncomfortable. So just that small little detail created another big fight that's just about to come. So black pushes down, then white hanes and double hane. So now we have a ko. So when black ataris, white cannot connect. Even though black can't capture because of the cutting points, but black can just extend and just extend. So of course, this is a very bad result for white. White gets completely pressed down to the second line, and this 4/4 stone will get cut as well. So white really needs to start the ko, and this is the thing that on the upper right that I was mentioning. When white starts the ko, white has very comfortable ko threats on the upper right, which is it's a very, it's something else during the game, like right then when it didn't seem like anything, but now like it's such a comfortable free ko threats that doesn't lose any points in such a key point in the game. It really gets out at your mentality. Even though right now black is doing quite well because black can still give up the ko and benefit somewhere else. However, I was probably bothered a little bit by the feeling of having to give up this ko now because of the upper right. So before doing that, of course, I found some. Also, I do have also some comfortable ko threats. These moves do not lose any points. So I played here, capture back, white descends, capture back. I played this move, capture back. And now white has this attachment as well, which is also a ko threat. And I have to push, and then white captures back. And then black has one more. And the reason why white waited for so long before playing this ko threat is because after black ataris at d1, black reduces black's own liberty. So there's a subtle difference here. It's very key that white does this ko threat last, because now when black connects, white can atari and actually fix by playing a tiger's mouth, because black's liberties are so short. So this is also a trade, but it just doesn't feel as good for black because white is all completely connected, and even though there is a wall here, but this is the last corner, and if black invades, white can just block and maybe even maybe white does not even need to extend. If white hanes, then black would be happy because black would cut and use the weakness, but white might just hane and connect or something, or even just extend, or just let black take some corner and just extend. So I didn't think there was too much black can gain from here. Although in the end, when I was reviewing with AI, Leela suggested that I give up the code this way instead of gaining elsewhere, because I think in the end it does make sense, because right now black invades the corner. But if you compare to what happens in the game, which I will show you right now, when white played this code threat here, black connected. Then when white captured back, so here black can't descend, because when white Atari is here, white can now use this middle code threat. So if black answers, then when black captures back, then black would be completely out. So on the other hand, black would have a stone at K1, which is very, very bad. So this is not a working variation either. So of course, right now black needs to do something else. And so what should black do? I was thinking there for quite a while, and I decided to just invade the 3-3 points. And this is the beginning of a downfall, I think. Because this move is it's too normal. It's not really a co-threat. But this co is actually heavy enough for white that black can actually find a much more, for example, maybe an attachment here and descend. This would actually get rid of all the potential on the top. And I think it would be bigger than this move. Might be similar, but this definitely feels, for example, if black can get sente by reducing this and then come back to the bottom right, it would feel much better. The problem with my move is that it lured me to make the second mistake. Now, why is this a mistake? Well, I think most of you guys probably can already tell that this side is not big. It's a very narrow side. The upper side is much bigger. So black should definitely extend above. The second reason why black should extend here is that the bottom side, white is super strong, so no matter what black does, black cannot pressure white. So after black extends here, if white just blocks, then anything black does on this side is not going to be important. So white can just keep playing with black, and black would not be really gaining much towards this side. So this was actually a very, very big direction error. And it's interesting how, just simple things like this. I guess my mindset behind playing this move was that I hoped white would extend kind of in the Joseki variation. But of course, this is such a naive assumption, and white would definitely not extend, because in this case, black would actually have the better side here. But, it was just more wishful thinking, and had I spent a few seconds more thinking about these two, I'm pretty sure I would also arrive on the correct move instead. So after black extends to this way, white makes an exchange on the left side. This is sente on black, so black needs to fix it. And then white comes back to block. And then I decided to extend because I didn't want to give white even more moves. If I hane, white might just jump. And because this side is so small, I really didn't want to spend any more moves there. So I decided to extend instead. And now black hanes in tiger's mouth. And this move is also very big now, because if I play somewhere else, when white hanes, white's actually get pressuring these 3 stones. And so this move is also necessary. So after this, white turns and attaches. Now you can really tell Andy's talent by these moves. It's actually threatening a lot more than what it seems. The reason is because if white just pushes here, and let's say white block jumps, this would threaten the cutting point, and white would only be able to get one of these. The benefit for attaching first is that after attach, typically black would play on the tiger's mouth on top, because this would also enable a knight's movement to reduce white's moyo in the center. However, now when white pushes, black cannot cut this right now, and this move is not big enough because white will just jump and enclose this hole, and now this moil is looking much bigger. So if black hanes, white will hane back, and still black cannot do anything here. And later on, if black keeps extending, white can actually play a tiger's mill here to threaten to hane inside. So all these exchanges kind of make black's shape a little uncomfortable. And I didn't know what to do here, but I also played one more slow move. And after that move, I really felt like this game was pretty much escaped me. Now, at this point, I think it's worth it to do kind of a question and answer. So let me mark some different locations, and I want you guys to pick what the biggest move is. So, of course, black can continue here. Black can turn here. Or black can play a knight's move. So these, all three, A, B, and C, are to reduce white's moil above. Now, white can also extend here, or black can also play here. So I'm going to let you guys pick between A, B, C, D, and E. Now, if you pause the video and picked, all of these would be reasonable choices, actually. So E puts pressure on white. D is a more passive move, but it's still just extending over to a good side. Both A, B, and C reduce the center, which has already becoming quite big, so they're all very good moves as well. B also fixes a bit of the weakness here in the center. If white plays B, the Atari is also very annoying. So in the game, I played none of these. Can you believe that? I played none. And all I did was I captured this stone. Can you believe how horrible this move is right now? Like this capture move, such a slow corner move. Okay, it's a big move, but come on, like capturing a move here when the game is this open, like if my student played here, I would like smack them in the head or something, which is really what I wanted to do to myself right now. So yeah, I played this capture move, and after this, white quickly plays this jump. This move has is a huge trap, actually. Now you'll see why, and maybe if you want to see, for those of you who like to read, you can check out if there's anything to do with a corner or this side, and you can pause the video. So now I'm going to tell you the answer. The reason is because when white hanes, black actually cannot Atari. And this is huge. This move is such a huge move because when white hanes, black cannot play here. Black has to play a retreating move. And that reduces the corner by a huge amount. Why can't black play here? Well, I asked Andy in the game and he showed me. White can Atari and cut. Even though black can capture white locally, but this move becomes sente. And this is such a big move. Because now black has to reduce. There's no other option. If black answers, white plays here. Everything is dead. So black has to reduce, and cutting here won't work because everything is dead here. So black has to reduce the liberties. And now locally, because this is sente, black has to reduce more. Locally, this is actually dead. And this is such a huge group here. And, yeah, so actually in the game, white didn't capture this group, because if white captures this group, black would get another move on the side, and this has to do with Andy's playstyle. He likes to be very safe, so if black gets this huge moil, I think what he felt was that he wasn't sure how to counter it. So it would be much safer to actually just play big moves elsewhere and let black fix and just take 2 moves on the right, which is actually equivalent, if you think about it, 2 big moves elsewhere compared to black just gaining a bit more territory. If you think about it, before this point, black had this. after black just got a few more points, but black has to spend an extra move inside on the left. So no matter what, white has gained from this series of exchanges. So at this point, even after black played a few slow moves, white caught another one of black's mistakes. And now I'm in pretty grave danger. So white decided to attach here. Now there's another attachment actually on the right side, which I didn't really explain yet. If white attaches, black can't push because the liberty shortage. Black can't Atari here because of this Atari. If black captures, white can get a lot of free moves on this side. So in this case, white can just Atari and then come over here. So this would also expand. So this attachment is a big follow-up move for this local shape as well. And so right now, when white attaches, white is wanting to protect this group on the right. So after white does that, white attaches, and then I really didn't know how to answer this move. So after this exchange, if black pushes, it doesn't work anymore, because after this is sente on the corner, black has to capture, and now white can hane it back. Look at everything that white is gaining, and despite black owing a move, black has no territory left, and white is way ahead at this point. So I didn't know what to answer. I decided to not answer, fix my stuff, and I'll deal with things later. So I did that. White connects and sente, Atari, these are all sente moves, and then white decided to finish here. So now this is another test by Andy on my reading skills. So here I read out pretty much most of the variations here actually, but I still played just another completely unreasonable move. So I'm not going to explain this too much. If you're interested, feel free to read out this variation. Of course, if black plays here, black can live, but this will give white a free endgame move in sente. So black descends. And then, so white jumps. These are all pretty much necessary. But now I haned. This move is probably equivalent to this capture. This is probably the worst move you can ever do in this kind of situation. Now, why is it bad? After black hanes, when white blocks, this local shape, white is completely connected. Can you believe that? You can't throw in it. Because if black plays, let's say white plays this move, this guarantees that locally this is a seki. Because if black captures, it's a grape 6, so it's dead. So black can't capture, which makes it a seki. If black tries to throw in, white can just capture. It's sente. So it doesn't. Nothing works here. So why is it so bad? Is because if black just descends here, white can't make a seki because black just plays here, and black connects back. What am I thinking about? Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. After this, now white can make this into a seki. So this is really. So after this, I really wanted to resign. So, but I think right now I don't want to be like a complaint. I don't want you guys to like kind of see all my complaints. But I think we should really appreciate all of white's really good moves here. First, white does this attach and push. Let me just go back because I think the moves that white played in this series of moves are really good, are truly really good moves. So white attaches and pushes. Okay, fine. I played a terrible move, but white jumps here and then threatens and then hanes first. So maybe the hane doesn't have a direct meaning, but after the hane, white haned here to kind of do a probe. And after catching another mistake, white didn't capture it locally. White continued on the right side to play a safe game to try to get a safe win. And then after that, white attaches and then white attaches on the left side. And now this move threatens to make it into a seki. And now another mistake. So after all these series of small but sure mistakes, this game is really going to white's favor. Even though it seems like black is making all these mistakes, all of black's moves are also making points. So they're probably not as bad as I described them. So they're definitely mistakes, but they're probably only losing like a few points here and there. But you know, points, each point is very, very important in this type of game, especially against Andy. So after this, white has Sente again, and white Hane is back. So at this point, white has a lot of moyo, but in terms of shore territory, black still has a lot. But even if white guarantees the basic territory, for example, just fourth line territory above, it would still be a very, very close game, not to mention all this potential in the center. So I think there's no doubt at this point that white is winning this game. Now, of course, it's the prelim finals. I didn't want to resign, so I continued to play a few moves to try to seek more chances. So white played this move to threaten the Atari and extend. So black protects, and then white plays the knight's move back, and then I play the knight's move here. So these moves are, you can kind of tell that they're more aggressive. Now, if I was winning, I would definitely not play there. I would just attach, or I would just capture this and slowly reduce. And now this move is surely going right into white's moyo. And these three stones, you can see if white connects, they're completely cut off from the upper side. Black has to connect back to the lower side. So it's a very deep move. And if you're reviewing pro games yourself and you like to view them, you can pay attention to this type of moves because they really tell, how a player is feeling about the game. If they think they're ahead, or for me, this move, I think it really shows that I'm feeling behind. So white plays here, and here I actually did quite well. After a Hane, when white connected, black can push and play a Kosumi here. So this takes advantage of all these bad stones to actually make a decent shape. So white pushes, and I cut. So this is actually a sacrificing move to ensure that this side is connected. So now this turn is going to be Sente, and white also got an Atari. If white connects back, then black will play a tiger's knot here. Now, when black cuts, white would have to eventually protect this cut. So there's going to be less aji. So in the game, this push is actually a sacrificing move. So after this, white comes back to fix the right side. Now the right side is complete territory. And after a cutting move, this is a relatively good chance to make that exchange, and then one more exchange, and then black cuts off the middle. So this is actually a good chance, I felt, but Andy handled it very well. Now, the reason why I say it's a good chance is because originally, although black was going to get cut off, now white is getting cut off in the middle. So if black converts this into black's territory, now now black would be completely in the game. Because originally we counted, I told you that we didn't count, but I told you that if white kept the basic territory, it would be a close game. But now in the middle, black would have at least about the same territory as white. So now it would be really going to be a close game if black captures this. So white play a knight's move here, and so here black can't just connect because if white extends, white also has too much potential. So you can see like how bad this game is going for black. So black needs to attach and hope for more. And then white Hanes and attack, so black Ataris. Now, these moves help to reduce the center potential, which is why black played these moves. Even though white connects the two stones back later on, but black reduced the center moyo by a significant amount. So black jumps here. And the key is whether black can capture the middle. And after so many overtimes, I just couldn't find a way to capture. So after white extends and white extends, white is pretty much connected. Because of all of these aji here, there's no way for black to cut white off. So after a few Sente moves I made, I realized I had to connect this back. So white connects back. Even though all these moves reduce the upper side territory, but white connects everything back and white captures the three stones and escape the two stones here. So even then, black is still behind. So after pushing twice, and I decided to Hane here because it's actually kind of similar. If black descends, white can jump and enclose this territory. White can actually jump peep here is also sente. Black would need to play a move to capture that stone, and then white can connect. So there's still a lot of points in the center as well, which is why I decided to actually just play here, because white actually has relatively bad Aji on top. So when I haunted and extended, I tried to gain something in the game. Maybe at this point I'll do a quick count to kind of show you guys what the game is looking like. So let's count black first. So there's 10 points there, plus 5, plus 1. We can count that 6, plus 1, 7. So 17 on the top left. So about 15 on the top right, so 32. So this stone is captured because after pushing, this is sente, white connects. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, there's no point there, so it's 10. So 32 plus 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 42. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can't count. 51. 51 plus the left side, which can be seki. So, and the reason why it's seki is because if white plays first, if black Ataris and reduces here, when white reduces, black cannot continue. If black Ataris, white will make it into a grade 6, which is dead. But if black throws in, because of outside liberties, black cannot capture it. So black would need to play this move, and now it's already a seki. So actually, white. So black doesn't have to answer right now. If white plays here, then it would be locally a ko, because but it's a one-step ko, and since black is behind, black is definitely not going to answer it. So in this case, if white plays first, we'll count it as a seki. So black has half the points inside, which is about 10. We'll just say it's about 10. If black plays, black will have about 10. So we'll just say 5 points there. So 56 in total. So now let's count white's territory. So on the bottom left, it's 5, 5.5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So plus the half. So we'll just count 6 each. It's 12. Here in the game, when black haunted white actually Atari, so we'll just count it that way because you can see white is avoiding the ko here. But we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the right. So we have 26. Sorry, we had 12. So plus 6 is 8. So in the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So there's actually 28 there, plus the 18. So that's 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, and some more potential. So it's about the same amount of points on the board, which is very bad news for black. The komi is 7.5 points, so that is going to be pretty much white's win. So at this point, very, very sad. I continue to play some more endgame to see if I can get some more chances. So here, the monkey jump is a good way to play endgame. And now this move is important because if black doesn't play here, white can actually attach at Q19 to force black to protect once more inside. So this move is a good sente exchange. And then black captures these stones. So white pushes, connects, and pushes here. And then black attaches. So these are all relatively normal endgames. All the way up until this point. So the ending of this game is a bit dramatic, but it's also kind of comical, probably only for me. Now, at this point, of course, both players are Byoyomi. It's a very important game because both players, whoever wins, will obviously be in top 32 of a major international tournament. So there's a lot on the line. Now, at this point, white is ahead by komi, which is a pretty big lead for a pro. Now, right now, black hanes, white connects. This connect is actually to threaten a peeping move in the center. and to gain 1 point. So it's a very stubborn move, and it's a very so it's actually it's almost a double sente, because if black pushes and Atari is here and then play this move, then nothing. So compared to the other variation, white would have an extra point. So if white plays here, black then plays here to protect here, then white would have gained 1 more point at the 015 area. So just for this 1 point, white is risking quite a bit of aji here, because notice that this Atari and block, they're both sente, and so there's a potential aji over here in the center. So of course, now that I'm behind, I'm not going to protect. I mean, even if I lose or I get cut off, it would be a good place to resign anyway, because it's small endgames now. White is ahead by Komi, so this is pretty much going to end here. And I was almost ready to end it here. However, at this point, when black cuts, and this was meant to be a probe, and wanting white to fix here, for which then black can extend. And now later on, when white peeps here, then black can actually Atari and Atari. So that was the main goal, is to benefit a few points by making these exchanges. However, white is very stubborn, and white captures. And this is very, I think most pros would be confident in their reading, and I think this is something that probably is very dangerous, because whenever you misread, something bad can happen. And I really feel bad. I feel a little bit bad winning this game like this, because here Andy made a big mistake, which allowed me to actually come back, despite the game being quite late. But I guess this is just, competitive, like any competitive sport. Like a lot of mistakes happen when, like near the end, when you're super nervous, you're tired, and this is when also where the more important decisions come in. So at this point, when white captured, I'm going to pause the video. So you can pause the video and see if you can find the Tsuji here. There's a lot of cutting points here, a lot of sente, but it's actually not easy to capture these two stones or get something from the middle. And so in the game, I did find it. I took some Ryoyomis, and after 2 forcing moves, I found it. So after the Atari, I found it. After black Atari is here, you can see that after black Atari is here, white started playing sente moves, and so you can tell that white is also reading out the variations here. So after 2 moves, white realized that white actually cannot give up the left side. It's bigger than it looks, because, or yeah, probably just like this, because even though black spent a move inside, originally black would have to spend 2 more moves, so it's 2 points plus about 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's over 10 points, which is definitely more than just Komi. So if white gives this up, white would not have enough. And this is what white is thinking about with all these sente moves. But if white doesn't give this up, now black has a very good Tsuji. And this is that attachment over here. So after pushing, black can actually attach on the left side. And this is the only move to get something out of white's aji here. So right now, if white plays here, because they're this cutting point, black can cut inside and capture the 3 stones. So you can kind of view it like this. If black cuts and cuts, these 2 stones cannot escape. However, white obviously can connect, because now also black can cut off these 2 stones. And this is the Tsuji that allowed me to win this game. So after white spends a few more moves, so this connection isn't really going to help too much anymore, because actually in the game, this is a 1-step ko, which is going to be very difficult for white to fight. So after a few moves, white decided to resign and give up the ko and resign. So a little bit of a dramatic finish. I kind of feel bad winning this game like this. I mean, it's not the best way to win a game for sure. But then again, this Tsuji is very nice. I was very happy to actually see it. But I mean, it was a close game, and anything can happen, I guess, when you're in Byoyomi. That's pretty much the finish here. Now, to summarize this game, I think the mid game was definitely a highlight. What White played in the middle really caught me off guard, and all these good moves put me in a very bad situation, especially this attach and extend. And the jump, and later on the Hane, and then how White dealt with the group on the right side. So they were all very, very good moves. Before, Black did make a whole bunch of mistakes. For example, pushing on the wrong side here. Later on, ataring and not reading careful enough, and a whole bunch of mistakes later on. So in the end, I did manage to win the game, and so I will play in the Chunlan Top 32 round in July. Actually, I was really looking forward to it, but I'm less looking forward to it now because online games is different. I'm personally very bad at online games. Don't really play at the same strength. But unfortunately, we can't really do anything about it. So that is settled for the end of July. So good luck to me. But yeah, I think looking back to this game, I really have a lot to improve on in terms of my game. I tend to make a lot of mistakes kind of consecutively, and I don't know if you guys have felt something similar to this. Is when you make a mistake, if you can actually just calm yourself, take everything back, and just keep your composure, have everything together, then I think everyone can be a much better player than you are now, and that's something that I really need to do. Because when I make a mistake, they just keep coming, and that really has lost me countless games. So let me know what you guys think, and hope you enjoyed the video. There was a lot to this game. I think I spent over an hour just going over the game in video time, and probably spent over 3 hours just recording this. So I would really appreciate it if you drop a like, leave a comment, and let me know what you learned about this game, what you like, what you think I can improve for the future pro commentaries. Always looking forward to suggestions. My name is Ryan, and I will catch you next time.